Now available in paperback and coming to Kindle Unlimited. John Haynes, Dark Succubus. The man who rules the world is tempted by a sultry succubus in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Dark Succubus in paperback or pre-order on Kindle Unlimited today. When I heard about the murder of Kasheem Morris out in Long Island, it was something that really touched me because this murder really reminded me of my days in high school, and it reminded me of the dangers I dealt with during the late 1980s, during the dark days of the crack epidemic. Now, your 16-year-old Kasheem Morris out in Long Island was murdered by an 18-year-old, all because he decided to do the right thing and walk a girl home. Now, your Kasheem Morris did not do anything wrong by walking this girl home, but what he didn't understand was that he was being used as a pawn by a predatory girl, and she was using this young man as a pawn in an effort to bait her beta male boyfriend into getting emotional, getting upset, and trying to get him jealous and riled up so that she could see how much power and control she could have over this man. And because this 18-year-old beta male had no critical thinking skills, he couldn't see that this teenage girl was crap testing him and trying to push his boundaries to see what she could get away with as related to his boundaries. So because this man didn't understand what was going on, he decided to get emotional and riled up, and he decided to go out here and get several of his boys to jump this 16-year-old boy outside of a Long Island strip mall. And as they were beating this boy down and this 18-year-old decided to stab him, all of the onlookers who were watching this carnage, instead of them coming in to help, what they did was go out here, take out their smartphones, and start recording the carnage. And some people broadcasted it to social media like Snapchat. Others would broadcast it to World Star Hip Hop. But what was really sickening about watching this whole scenario is the complete callousness of all of these individuals as related to the life of your young Kasheem Morris. They didn't regard this black boy's life as having any sort of value. And that's one of the things that's really troubling to me, because it shows that in the almost 30 years since I last went to Park West High School, that things in the black community have not changed, and in fact they have gotten worse as related to the ethics and behavior of young black people. Because in my day, when I was a teenager 30 years ago, I saw the same complete callousness and maliciousness back then as related to black life. And some would say that that was due to the crack epidemic going on and all of these girls out here being out here with these dope dealers. Because back then, when I was in high school, what happened was many of these girls, they were out here dating these dope dealers, and because they wanted to get the attention of this dope dealer and they were insecure about their relationship with him, they would pull these crap tests where they would find a guy in the class, flirt with that guy, and then as they're flirting with that guy, they then, after school, go back to that dope dealer, or in cases even after school when he's picking them up in their Jeep or their Mercedes, they're sitting there talking about how they were talking to this guy. And the reason why they're doing that is because, again, they want to crap test that dope dealer, because they want to test the security of their relationship, and they also want to push the boundaries and see what they're going to get this guy to do. And because a lot of these dope dealers back then were so caught up in their emotions about these females and so caught up about the attention they were getting from these females and the sex they were getting from these females, what they would do is then after school go looking for this guy, go looking to beat him up, go looking to pull a knife on him, a box cutter on him, or go out here and pull out their 9 or their Mac 10 back in the day. But when I looked at that scenario that was going on with Kasheem Morris, again, it reminded me so much of my days in high school, and that was one of the things that made trying to talk to girls in high school extremely dangerous back then. And I found it quite troubling that this young brother ran into the same type of violence that I ran into back in the late 80s during the crack epidemic. This young brother, in the supposed time where murders are at an all-time low, is running into the same kind of violence I ran into during the dark days of the crack epidemic. And that's really troubling for me because it shows how little things have changed in the black community as related to life in the black community. Moreover, it shows me how much worse things have gotten because the children who are 16 years old today, again, these were kids who could easily have been my son or my daughter. And what's sad is they haven't learned how to do better. In fact, all they have learned is how to do the exact same thing and participate in the exact same dysfunctional behavior and exact same violent behavior that many of those teenagers participated in during those dark days of the crack epidemic. And that's what was really troubling to me about the whole murder of Kasheem Morris, is that I lived through that kind of violence in the late 80s, and now I'm seeing that exact same violence rear its ugly head. But what's even worse than seeing that violence return is seeing young black teenagers so callous that they would go out here and record this young man's murder, all for likes on social media, views on social media, and showing how they are more concerned with the attention they get online than they are about the life of a young brother. And even worse than the callousness as related to getting those views on social media is the callousness of the teenage girl who started this whole situation. Because that teenage girl reminds me so much of the teenage girls that I went to school with at Park West, who were out here with these dope dealers, and all she was thinking about was the attention she was going to get. She had no respect for young Kasheem Morris's life. She had no regard for Kasheem Morris's life. It was all about her getting attention. It was all about her generating drama. It was all about her getting what she wanted out of the situation, and she could care less about Kasheem Morris's life or her boyfriend's life, the man who she said that she loved so much. If this girl loved this man so much, she wouldn't have asked Kasheem Morris to walk her home in the first place. What she would have done is call up this beta male chump and had him pick her up, because that's what a man would do in the first place. He would have been there to pick her up. He wouldn't have been looking to sit there and get mad about another man. He would have gone out of his way and checked his girl, because any man of character, when he hears that his woman has been walked home by another man, he's going to take a look at her and her behavior, because he knows he needs to check her and her behavior, because she is the one who is out of pocket, she is the one who is out of order, and she is the one who needs to be dealt with. But when you have a beta male simp out here, this male is so caught up in his emotions about getting attention from one girl that he does not think about the relationship objectively, nor does he think about his intangibles of manhood, like his dignity, his self-respect, and his self-worth, because a man who understood his dignity, his self-respect, and his self-worth, you know what that man would do again when a woman tells him that she walked home with another boy? He's going to say to her, you are the one that's the problem, and if you are going out here letting other guys walk you home, you can keep on walking, because it's obvious to me that you have no respect for me. And this is something that the beta males out here don't understand, is that when a woman has respect for you, she's not going to come and talk about another man in front of you, because if she respects you, she is going to sit there and call you to go pick her up, not have some other dude walk her home. And if she does talk about other dudes walking her home, she's going to send her again back to keep on walking with those dudes. But when you have guys who don't understand how to be men, because there's no father there to teach them how to be men, sadly, you get situations that happen like this murder of Kasheem Morris today, and the murders of many young brothers back 30 years ago when I was in high school. Because when you have a father there to teach manhood to sons, you have somebody there to help that young man understand what situations to avoid. Because I believe if Kasheem Morris had a young man to teach him, or a father to teach him, my age, he would have probably learned how to avoid that situation. Because a man would have told him, like, look, if this girl has a boyfriend and she's asking you to walk her home, you need to walk away, because when this girl has a man, what she's trying to do is use you as a pawn to crap test him. And when she uses you as a pawn, what she's going to do is use that situation to get attention for herself, to see if this man is still wanting to be involved with her. So you aren't even anyone that she's considering. Moreover, if you have a man there, he's going to sit there and teach a boy about the right way to conflict resolve and problem resolve. And he's going to understand that if somebody is out here and this girl is sitting up here talking about you're dating, you want to walk home with another man, again, he's not going to tell you to go get your boys and then go jump this guy. He's going to tell that young man, charge that girl to the game and move on, because this ratchet, what she wants to do, again, is get some drama going. And then while one of you is dead, the other one is in prison and turning his tight end into a wide receiver. She's out here with two more suckers playing the exact same hard-to-get game or manipulation game, crap test game, on those two guys. And while you're in jail getting that tight end turned out, she's out here receiving passes from all those other guys. So a guy who has a father in his life is going to understand that there are things more important than the attention of such a dysfunctional female, like his dignity, like his self-respect, and most importantly, his freedom. Because a man has to understand that his freedom is the most important thing at the end of this day. Because that 18-year-old, again, he's going to get turned out in prison for the rest of his life. And sadly, young Kasheem Morris is not going to get an opportunity to actualize his potential. And sadly, again, this is a scenario that happened for many times during my days when I was in high school in the crack epidemic. And I just find it quite troubling to see this scenario happening all over again, like a vicious cycle in the black community. In a time when we're not having 2,000 homicides like it did during the crack epidemic, we're seeing the exact same kind of violence. And we're seeing this exact same kind of violence because instead of us raising our children to be better than the previous generation, we have raised a generation of Negro children of the corn. And these Negro children of the corn have grown up like stalks out here. And everywhere they go, they destroy the lives of decent young brothers like your Kasheem Morris, a brother who just wanted to go to a party and he thought he had a shot at a girl, but he didn't understand that in these inner city neighborhoods, sometimes what looks like the sure thing can lead to sure trouble. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to learn more about the troubling behaviors of beta males like the one who murdered Kasheem Morris, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com. And if you want to learn how to avoid situations with predatory females like the one who took advantage of Kasheem Morris, you can pick up my books, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, in paperback and digital formats. And you can also pick up The Misadventures of Captain Save-A-Ho on Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available for the first time on Google Play, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are falling apart in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy on Google Play today.